Good morning, guys. I wanted to make something to help you learn some skills about coloring and using your color pencils. So, what I'm going to do is make a few boxes and have you guys practice some of these techniques. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by making 3 boxes up here. I'm going to make one big window shape over here. I'm going to make a rectangle here. I'm going to make a second rectangle, make a line down the middle. I'm going to make one more box here, and then a longer rectangle. So the point of this exercise is just to practice, uh, mostly pressure and value with this. So value controls the pressure controls the value. So that means however hard you're pressing, that's how darker it is, and the lighter you press, that's how lighter the color comes out. So the first thing we're going to practice up here, I'm going to write dark, mid, and light. So I want you guys to get some good practice in by shading with these pencils. We did a little bit about this with our regular pencil techniques, but you want to use those same skills for this sheet. What I want you guys to do, you're just going to fill in this box, and this first one should be your darkest box. So I want you to get a good feel for how hard to press. And to make good work, I think you guys all always need at least these 3 main values. We did this with our Google Drawing too. We focused on having the darks, the midtones, and the highlights. And that really helped us make dynamic work. So dark, maybe I can press a little bit darker. So I want you to get a good understanding of the differences between these values. So if that's that dark, I want to make sure this one is somewhere in the middle. And you guys can see the way I'm shading here. Just trying to keep it even, going in the same direction. Just filling in. So that one is pretty dark. This one's in the middle, like it should be. And the last one sometimes can be the hardest one because you're trying to keep it light and even. Just a little bit, I think, could be a little bit darker so it matches closer to there. So it's a nice transition. So that's what that one is for. Second, we're going to do something called pressure variation. And what this is, it's like creating a gradient. So I want you guys to do at least 5 colors. This is how you do it. You want to start off by shading, but super dark, and then you ease up as you go. Okay, let's try another one. It could be in a different direction, it could be doing something else, but the whole point of this exercise is so you can understand how to control those transitions from the darks as they get to the light. You can see here, I can get a better transition in there. Let's try orange. That's a strong royal blue, I think. And this last one. Okay. The next thing we're going to do in these boxes below, we're going to practice something called hatching and something called cross hatching. Cross hatching. Hatching just means that you're making this. These are kind of like tones. They're like even, but it's sometimes when people shade, especially in comics, you can see hatches. So this one's pretty easy. You're trying to make consistent lines right next to each other. So that's essentially what hatching means. And cross hatching means that you're making those lines going one way, and then you're making the crosses go the other way. So in a situation where this might be used, let's say there's a square, right? Sometimes people can just shade one way. Let's say there's a more 3D object like a sphere, and you want to shade, you want to show the cross hatching. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show the shading of the form. I'm going to make those cross hatches. I'm going to make the original hatches actually, and then you can see the ball kind of turns this way, just like that. And then I can show it's turning like this, but it's also turning like this. So I can show the hatching going around that way as well. So it shows the form both ways. It's a pretty cool technique. So it's almost like not shading, but you can show the lines there. Okay, so next we're going to do is we're going to play with pressure and blending. So up here, what I want to do, I want to choose two colors. I like blue and yellow, and I just want to fill up these four boxes in different ways. So first, let's do this one. We're going to do just soft. That means both of these colors I'm going to use very softly. So, and I want to blend over top of them. So like this. So let's put that blue down. And then let's lightly put the yellow down also. You'll see there's an interesting pattern thing that's starting to happen. There's little bits of green in there. So there's subtle change in there. So next I can do, so this one was both soft. I'm going to write soft plus soft. The next one I want to do, let's do hard yellow. So watch. I'm going to press down yellow really hard this time. And I'm going to press, let's do, since these were both soft, let's do both hard. So hard yellow and hard blue. And you guys can see I'm getting a deep green now. The difference between those two. So let's do hard. Hard plus hard. Oops. And the bottom here, let's do yellow again. We're going to do hard plus soft. So we're going to start with that yellow. Hard again, but this time the overlaying aspect is going to be soft. So it's all about pressure. You guys can see I'm using, these are the two main colors, but I've made very different types of colors based on how hard I was pressing and the combination of hard and soft. For this last one, we're gonna do hard and soft again, but this time blue goes first. So let's see how the darker color handles the lighter color over top. You guys can see I use yellow first almost every time because usually the darker color is very much more powerful, but it still serves a purpose. So let's watch this deep blue change when I get this yellow over top. You'll see. So you guys can do that in this order, and if you have other ideas, you can also use those boxes for other ideas as well. Next thing we're going to do is called stippling. This is a cool technique. It just involves you tapping basically. But pay attention to the value. So I'm going to make a flower really quick. Wonder if I can move you closer. Will this thing move closer? I wonder. So I stippled. I'm going to make a little middle circle, and I'm pressing pretty hard here. I can also fill in this with um, lighter stipples, lighter dots. That'll kind of represent the value there. So that's a pretty cool technique. Here's how it looks. And I can finish that up by stippling in like a leaf or a stem. It gives you a very interesting end result. So this last part, I think I'm going to break it down into two. And I want to show you guys how to mix black and white. So I think a good color for this is usually blue. I like blue. So anything you want to, anytime you want to lighten up a color or darken it, here's some ways to do it using black and white. So let's say I have this blue, and we can also work on layering here. So I want it to get darker, right? And you want to create a nice subtle transition. So this is also about creating transitions. I want to go in here and I want to lightly color over. That's one way to do it. You guys can see the color is starting to change. We can also try hard, try different kinds of pressures in here. But this is about using black to create a shadow version of your color. So that one's pretty interesting as well. Let's try with the white. So there's two ways to use white. Let's say I have this lightly filled in. White can create a lot of blends. It can even out your colors. You can see it. You don't really notice it. You can also use it to fill in with white first, pressing hard, and then lightly going over it, and it creates this waxy feel of a color, like it looks far away. So black and white, darker, lighter colors. All right. So I want you guys to explore these different techniques and have just one practice sheet like this dedicated to exploring color pencils. You guys know most of it is really about controlling the pressure and the value, but these are going to be really useful when you start your projects.